Toula.
Welcome back, everyone, to the last segment of Toula's Tips for Caregiving. This show goes so fast every time I do it. It's really hard to get all the information covered that we want to cover. But before the break, we were talking a little bit about veterans benefits, and there are some wonderful benefits like aid and attendance for those of you who are caring for a loved one who is a veteran that can actually give you some help in the home. They have a palliative and hospice care program in the home to help you care for your loved one in the home through end of life. And of course, I'm with Community Hospice and we participate in that. Chaplains come in, social workers come in, nurses, doctors, certified nursing assistants, again with the goal of keeping your loved one at home. But when that's no longer possible, aid and attendance will help pay for your assisted living care, or perhaps even down the road some nursing home care. I've recently helped place a friend of mine, helped her get her husband placed in the VA facility down in St. Augustine, and there's something called alimony for non-dissolution of marriage. She was having a difficult time making ends meet, and another attorney told her a little bit about something that might might be able to help her. But before we get to that, we've got a caller on line one. Monica, welcome to Toula's Tips for Caregivers. Monica, are you there? I can't hear her. There you are. Now I got you. Hello, Monica. Thank you.
Very helpful. What you're referring to typically is something referred to as getting a support petition. What happens is when someone goes on Medicaid for long-term care, that will help pay for long-term care, but the person who goes into the nursing home, as you're aware, their income less a $35 personal needs allowance and less a diversion to come up to what's called the minimum monthly maintenance income allowance, or Mamma Mia as the term is used. Yeah, well,
that works.
That's what it was. Everything's an acronym. That sometimes that isn't enough. Because what's happened is, in fact, Toula and I were speaking of this before the show started, where there are some situations that come through our office all the time where you have someone who's gone out and has been working, where you have someone who may have been at home doing the quote-unquote homemaking, and the homemaking didn't have a pension attached to it, notwithstanding the importance of it, whereas the job did. And so if the person goes into a nursing home and they're on Medicaid, one of the problems is that you have to use all of this person's income, less these very minimal diversions I was just talking about, and that has to be what's called patient responsibility. In order to reduce that responsibility and to be able to get more income for someone like you, then there's a couple of options. One option, which nobody in my office wants to do, and we certainly don't want to do it for them, is say, well, just go get a divorce, because that's not what we want to do. The second option is Florida is one of a few states that allows what's called a support order. And you can get an order of support, and with that also something called a qualified domestic relations order, QDRO, or again is an acronym. It's not as nice as Mamma Mia, but it's called Quadro. And you can actually use those because the state has to abide by a court order and this Quadro that gets issued by the courts that can say that, you know what, notwithstanding what the state is saying is the income allowance, we're going to give more to this community spouse, the one who's not in the nursing home, or the one who is well, or the caregiving spouse. And that's a way to do that without requiring that you actually have to go through a divorce situation And so it's just referred to as a support hearing. And I believe that's what you're referring to. No, they're very helpful. That's not a door that is being looked at all, because you're really dealing with, again, from a standpoint of public policy, no one wants to see anyone go through a divorce. Nobody
Right.
wants to see someone not get the benefits they're entitled to receive. What this is an option to allow you to have basically both bites at the apple. We're not going to have divorce situations, just, you know, again, like the old situations. Well, I'm not going to get married, or I want Social Security, or, you know what, I'm going to divorce somebody because I can get a better deal or something. I mean, the idea is to get away from these sort of fly-by-night sort of options that, where although they may be legitimate options for some instances, they're not the real answer in legitimate situations, obviously such as yours. So.
So Monica, search that out, Monica. I hope that really works for you. Thank you. You know, it doesn't make sense, when I think we've said this before, to think about a person like her in the home not having the income that she needs to keep on meeting her needs.
Well, so, if I could too, one thing that's real important, whenever anyone wants to go get, not to go back, my ADHD here, I'm bouncing back, but with veterans benefits and this aid and attendance, the one thing that a lot of times people don't get their benefits on, and was just being, as the caller was just indicating, it has to do with unreimbursed medical expenses.
Right.
UMEs, again, everything's an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
These unreimbursed medical expenses, it's very important. We were talking before about certain documents and things that you may want to have up front. I cannot stress enough, find out what your loved one or parent is paying for, whether it be, you know, having people come in the house and assist, types of insurance, their medicine, their co-pays for medical. Any of those types of things can be added in and may qualify as an unreimbursed medical expense, which will, under government math,
right,
reduce your income, and then all of a sudden now you're eligible for the aid and attendance.
Well, there you go. So, what an important thing to remember. I really appreciate you bringing that up. We do have another caller holding. Hang on just one second, Kenyon, and before I get to your call, I do want to announce that our next caregiver workshop that's free for all caregivers is Saturday, August 4th at the Ramada Inn in Mandarin. Registration starts at 8:30. If you're interested in attending this, please call 807-1287. Again, that's 807-1287. And care is available for your loved one if you need it at no charge. Caregiver Conference, Saturday, August 4th. And then the next one after that will be September 14th at UNF, and that will be specifically for those family members who are caring for a loved one who's a veteran. Now, Kenyon, welcome to Toula's Tips for Caregivers, and thank you for calling. Well, thank you so much, Kenyon. Thank you for those really wonderful words of encouragement. It helps me to keep going. You know, it helps me to know that there are folks out there who will listen and who appreciate and who benefit. That's the main thing. I want caregivers out there to benefit. That's why I'm doing this. And you know, Kenyon, my hat's off to you too. I had to miss your Miss Senior America pageant, and I hated that because I was out of town. But I think it's wonderful what you do to honor female seniors. What did you say happens at the age of 60? They don't get older. The age of elegance. I'll be approaching that myself in about 4 years, so I want you around to tell me I'm elegant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's very
He
kind
has done a great job of covering a lot of information in a very short amount of time. But that's what we have to do sometimes. The time just flies by, and like let's do it again.
I enjoy being able to hopefully get the information out. I know it's hard to get sometimes. So.
It is, but the callers who called, thank you for calling. I hope you gave your name and address to our producer so we can get gift certificates to you. We will be back next week. This is Toula's Tips for Caregivers on Talk Radio 600 WBOB. Thank you for listening.
You all have a nice week.
Thank you.